What's up, y'all? It's Black Comic Lords in the building. Once again, we're on our Friday night, late night happy hour, Wakanda Whiskey and Blurdom. I'm your host, Paul.
What's going
With
on?
me is my boy, Mark.
Happy Friday, everybody. Happy first of the month. Make sure that y'all paid y'all's bills today. You know rent is due.
Is it that? Yeah, I got mine paying on automatic. I ain't got to worry about that. So, what's up, man? How's your week?
No, the week was good, man. Pretty uneventful. So I'm happy about that.
I dig
Just
that shirt.
you know what? I've had this shirt for 5 years. It was one of the shirts that I wore the week of February whenever Black Panther came out. I bought a whole bunch of new Black Panther shirts and I wore a different one every day. In fact, I think this is the one that we wore that Saturday when we went
Went
to.
back the second time. Yeah.
Yep, I think so. Yep. So, like I said on the space before, Paul came up here to Atlanta in 2018 so we could go watch the Black Panther together. We went to go see it Thursday, premiere night. Had a great time, crowds, all that stuff. I should share those pictures with you one of these days so you can bring them up. But anyway, we saw the movie on Thursday, hung out on Friday. Saturday, we went to the movies again and saw it again. So I saw it 3 times that opening week.
Yeah, that's what's up. We should show those pictures next
Yeah,
time. Let's
yeah,
let's say
yeah.
what's up to everybody in the chat. People in the building already. Appreciate y'all. My boy from Brooklyn, Armistead in the building. What's up, brother? OG, triple OG, mega OG, Richard Panther Hearted in the building. Bodega Dash,
I like that
the
Spike
Mars
Lee.
Blackman representing another Brooklynite.
My Morehouse brother.
Bot Boy versus Good evening. Bo Biggs in the house. What up, Bo Biggs? And Sunny Night. Good
Okay.
evening. Oh, Pericles Dragon Balls in the building. Man, what's up, man? All right. So, Mark and I, based on what you guys said, decided to keep going with our interlude down memory lane on the Priest Run. But before we get into that, Mark says he wants to do a little special something for our whiskey portion of our night. We got to get it started. I still got my same liquor from last time. I haven't finished my bottle of Fort Mose out of
Mine as well.
Florida,
That's what I got.
celebrating the first black, I guess,
Township in
town
America. Yep.
in America or something like that. I think
Yep.
that's what it
Yep.
said.
Yep. Yep. So
Outside of
here's the
St.
thing.
Augustine.
I've been a whiskey drinker in earnest now for about 8 years, right? Back in the day before I knew any better, Jack and Coke, that was the thing. Jack Daniels obviously is a bourbon, so technically that counts as being a whiskey drinker. But in all seriousness, the black label Jack Daniels is just trash. It's undrinkable to me since my palate has somewhat developed, having had very good whiskey over the past intervening 8 years or however long it's been, right?
You sound like a whiskey snob, and I'm not mad at that.
It's being a connoisseur of that substance. I love whiskey. So, with that being said, I wanted to do something different for you guys. And there's a drink that I'm sure you all have heard about. It's called an old fashioned, right? Before I knew what an old fashioned was, the very first time I saw one was in that Steve Carroll movie with Ryan. What's old boy's name? Played in The Notebook. Gosling, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
What was it? Love, crazy, stupid love, crazy, stupid love. So basically, Ryan Gosling's character was this gigolo, was always picking up women, blah blah blah. He invited this girl over to his crib. He took his time to craft this perfect old fashioned, right? And it's meant to be sipped. But this chick was having a hard day, and she just sat up here and slammed it. But that being said, I wanted to show you guys, or show the people, guys and girls, how to make an old fashioned. Now, you can go on YouTube and see different ways that old fashions are made, but they typically consist of three actual ingredients plus ice in a glass. That doesn't count, but three main ingredients.
What
The
up, D?
hold on. The ingredients that you need are a whiskey of some sort, bourbon or rye, scotch, if you will.
Is this one? This one's a rye whiskey, is it?
No, it's regular bourbon. regular bourbon.
Yeah, it is bourbon.
First ingredient, you need sugar. Now, the sugar can be in one of two forms, either a sugar cube, like this, or simple syrup. All simple syrup is sugar and water. That's all it is. You can make simple syrup at your house, right? And then the final ingredient that you need, the main ingredient that you need, is bitters. Now, there are several types of bitters that are out there. This is the regular aromatic bitters, Angostura aromatic bitters. You've got flavored bitters. You got cherry. You've got orange right here. And there are other different craft ones. This is a barrel aged bitters that I happened to come across at a whiskey event that I went to a couple of years ago. And you can actually find this online. But there are other flavors that are out there. I've seen celery, I've seen peach. They're just all different types. But those are the three main ingredients that you need: whiskey, sugar, bitters, right? So today I'm going to use.
And simple syrup.
Well, no. Simple syrup is sugar. As I said, it's one of the other. It's either in liquid form or solid form, one or the other.
Gotcha.
So bourbon, sugar, either cube or simple syrup, and bitters, and that's it. So because I have the sugar cube, what I do is, hopefully you can still hear me, you add a couple of dashes of the aromatic bitters onto the cube, right?
You should hold your glass up so we see what you're doing.
Well, I just basically just put it in there and I cover the cube.
Gotcha.
Then what you want to get is a muddler. Now, a couple of years ago, it's been 2 years ago now, I bought a bar set off of Amazon. And if you can pull that up, perhaps.
Oh.
The bar set came with this muddler. It's made specifically for making cocktails. So what you do, while he's showing that real quick. Okay. You can find them, they have different sets, obviously, that contain different things. You can find them that just has a shaker, a couple of jiggers, and stuff like that, right? But that's the one that I decided to get for myself. And I use it, I use aspects of it on a regular basis. But that aside, you want to pull that up? Yeah, there we go. So basically what you do is you get your muddler, and then you just basically crush your sugar. Then what you do is you take your jigger. This was in the set as well. You add yourself 2 ounces of whiskey to it. You can be heavy-handed if you want. And I know you can't see this, but I'm just basically pouring this in the jigger. Two ounces. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to add a couple more dashes of the orange bitters. I like that as well, right? So I'm add a couple of dashes of that. Then to top it off, I'm going to add my ice cube. Right in the glass. Then you get your stir, also part of that kit that you see. And just give it a good spin. Now you can garnish, a lot of times what people do, sorry about that noise, but a lot of times what people do is they garnish it with some type of citrus, either an orange and or a lemon peel, right? Just peel it off, give it a little, you can burn it a little bit, scorch it a little bit, and then give it a little twist in the glass. And then add a cherry, which I have right here.
You can also garnish it with a orange peel.
That's exactly what I just said. Orange peel and or lemon peel. And then just give that a little bit more stir. And that, my dear friends, is an old-fashioned. Launch it.
That was a process.
It is. It is. And on top of that, I didn't even smoke this one. You guys have seen me smoke a whiskey before, but I didn't even smoke this one. But sometimes you can, if you buy a whiskey that you're not necessarily fond of, like like I said last week, I'm not particularly fond of this Fort Mose, but you can try to jazz it up a little bit by adding ingredients, and that's what you can use for an old fashioned. Now, the better the whiskey, obviously, the better the old fashioned. You can kind of try to save one that you may not like that much by making it into an old fashioned. And what I've discovered between using simple syrup or sugar cubes, I prefer the simple syrup in mine, not the sugar cubes. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. I am switching over. Excuse me, I'm having some technical difficulties. All right, I'm back. Sorry. Going back to the chat here. Louisiana Kid, what's up, man? Welcome. Gordon Mahan was on another channel. You dipping out on this, bro? Richard Wright, sip. Richard's sipping on his water right now. H Nation. It's Gordon Mahan. I think you recommended a Matt Baker cover that they showed in their next episode. Oh, that's cool. That's dope, man. All right, so we have concluded our whiskey portion. We got our drinks right. Yep. Salud. Now we go to our boy, T'Challa. All right. So, Black Panther, T'Challa, not TJ, T'Challa, son of T'Chaka. Mark and I have, as you all may know, those who are new may not, have been doing a retrospective on the best of the Black Panther volumes.
We disagree on that, but okay.
I said best of volumes, as in plural, more than one.
Right. You think this was in the best. I don't.
I didn't say. I said again, we have been doing a retrospective of the best of the Black Panther volumes, plural. The one we're going to start with is the Priest Run. We asked you guys if you wanted us to go from one volume to the other, Jungle Action with McGregor and Billy Graham, the Priest Run, and then the Hudlin Run. And you all said you wanted us to continue with the Priest, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Volume 3, Number 4 of Black Panther. So let's get to it. I had some interesting thoughts on this one. Let me get your, whoops, wrong one. Hold on. Jesus. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties tonight.
We need to be able to play the Jeopardy theme right about now.
I know. This is what happens when Derek goes out of town. All right, that's gone. Whew. So give me your thoughts on this book.
So the book came out literally 25 years ago. The publishing date is February 1999. I probably haven't read this book in at least 15 years, if not 25. And you got to give it up to Priest. Priest put a lot of characters in his run that are part of the mythos of Black Panther now. The Dora Milaje, Achebe, who you don't really see that much, and White Wolf, who makes his very first appearance on the pages of this book. The Hatut Zaraze, thank you. Hatut Zaraze make their first appearance, if I'm not mistaken. They had kind of like a brief appearance last week, in the
Right.
last issue, but they have full blown appearance here. And I know
Yes.
Paul's gonna pull it up, but the White Wolf, man, he is suave. Like he makes his appearance when he shows up, and he is suave as hell in this book. I mean, he seems like a very gentlemanly European, even though he was raised in Africa. He seems like he comes from nobility, but being raised in the royal palace, he was. And it's just cool. I really like the book. And I just never realized how much Priest has given to the mythos until we did this look back. Yeah, look at him. I mean, sitting up here smoking a stick. I mean, come on, man. He's really, really cool. Looks like his hair may be thinning a little bit, but he'll
He
whoop your
hasn't used
ass.
any of those Wakandan
Herbs and
berries and
berries.
herbs and berries in his hairline.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
there
that's
was
what's crazy, what's interesting about the character, because in recent times in Captain America, they made him into a complete white nationalist, which really doesn't make any sense for this character considering how he was raised. But
it made zero sense.
at
Zero
all,
sense.
at all, it's like being raised in the hood by and around black people who have loved you your entire life, then you go join the Klan. It's just illogical. In this story, T'Challa is over here in the United States. He was dealing with an issue with the charity that he started. A young girl who was the face of the charity was killed. He had to hunt down the killer while he was away. Achebe basically took over Wakanda, like really, really easily, which kind of doesn't make any sense. But that aside, T'Challa's here in America. And while he's here, the Hatut Zaraze attack him, and they're following him. And he T'Challa disbanded them when he became the king, because he did not like the way that they would handle their business with basically being spies. And that's different than how he ended up being during the last run. Because if you recall, during the last run, if you read it, and I don't recommend that you do, but he had his spies and a whole network of individuals across the world. So that is a complete 180 from how T'Challa was in this book.
I don't like mentioning the last one. There's just so many things wrong with it. It just irks me. Um, I love the fact that we're doing this retrospective. Some of these books I haven't read in over 20 years. Um, and it just makes me fall in love with the run all over again, and really actually appreciate it a lot more. I forgot how dope a villain Achebe was. It was almost like his superpower was his silver tongue, his ability to speak to people and galvanize people in all of his machinations. Um, Dope villain. And then Achebe's introduction, um, because at this point, all we know of Wakanda are just a bunch of black people, you know, and this errant character that Priest develops is kind of like an absolute foil to T'Challa. He is absolutely different, but 100% the same as T'Challa in many ways. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The other thing I wanted to point out was where is it? Where is it?
I think you mentioned last week that Achebe was basically T'Challa's Joker.
He really
And
is.
that's the way I take him. He just seems absolutely insane. The panel that Paul just showed, Achebe is on Wakandan television talking about how he, just out of the blue, is running the country. Now, typically, when T'Challa leaves in other runs, his uncle Cyan and a council are in control of the nation while he's gone. Back during the Jack King Kirby run, he had his cousins, the Musketeers, or what were they called?
The Musketeers.
The Musketeers.
The Black Musketeers.
The Black Musketeers were basically running Wakanda as he was out of the country, as he always is. So to me, it really didn't make sense for Achebe to be able to come in and take over so easily. But while he's broadcasting on, the national TV for Wakanda, he said they're talking about a damn dog. And he said,
Yeah. Well,
everybody,
he's what is how they phrase it in the Bruce Banner? His head is a bag of cats.
it, it just makes no sense. But when you look at it from the way Paul described it last week, he is most definitely T'Challa's Joker. And based on that, Achebe should make more appearances than he's done.
He's overdue for a return. Bring him back somehow. Another thing that if you looked at the thumbnail for this video, there are two images. One is, as Mark described before, T'Challa fighting the Hattusaraze, which have their real sort of first full appearance in this book. And you learn their name. You learn that Hattusaraze means dogs of war. And you learn that his father, you learn that T'Challa, upon taking the throne, disbanded them because of their extremism in their tactics. The fact that they tortured and killed and maimed and did all these things that, quite honestly, all governments do. But that's why he disbanded them.
Because T'Challa is very honorable. He's a very, very honorable individual. And that goes against his sense of honor.
But what the other thing that was in on the thumbnail is a picture that talks about the fact that Mephisto has been in this run, the son of the devil. And they have these scenes. I love Everett K. Ross. He's the perfect literary tool that Priest does to analyze all these characters and provide narration and provide the little comic relief, which is brilliant. But Everett K. Ross is stuck in this apartment in Brooklyn with the son of the devil, Mephisto. And he's just like, trying to make small talk with Mephisto. Brilliant scene. He's scared out of his wits. He keeps changing his pants because he keeps wetting his pants with Mephisto.
Hold on, let me just interject. I apologize. He's not trying to change his pants. All right, so Everett, for some reason, lost his pants. And so the devil gave him pants.
He says, let me hook you up.
Right. The devil is like, yeah, let me give you some pants. And Everett's like, no, I don't think I want the devil's pants. And what's funny is, and I'm sure you could bring this up, but it shows Everett right here trying to take the pants off. But every time he takes them off, there's another pair there. The devil will literally not let him get rid of his pants. And it's just a funny idea that he's sitting up here just taking his pants down, and every time he does, there's a fresh pair.
Another pair of pants.
Yeah.
So here's the next thing that happens, because Everett Ross is scared crapless about the devil, but he's trying to maintain his cool because he knows T'Challa is on his way. So T'Challa comes in, finally, kicks the door down, and Everett Ross, who's making small talk with the devil, trying to ingratiate himself so he doesn't get his soul taken, immediately goes, kill him, kill him, kill him. You want me to call the Avengers? And what does T'Challa do? Bam! Cold cocks the devil.
Let me interject here, and I apologize.
Hold on. I know what you're about to say.
Well,
it's bombastic, and people are like, you see this scene? How the hell could T'Challa knock out Mephisto?
They explain it, and it makes sense. But you
go ahead.
But what you have to understand is that Mephisto is an immortal demon, right? He has existed since time immemorial. He's not as old as Gaia or Chthon or any of that nature, but he's kind of up there, right? So he is immortal. He is pretty much invulnerable. He's kind of a god, to be frank with you. And T'Challa comes in and just literally knocks this dude on his ass, right? knocks him out cold for a little bit. Now they explain on further panels how he was able to do that. But let me just interject this. And can you go down a little bit to where T'Challa kicks in the door? I want to show you that. It was on that same page that you have. It was just up. I just want to show you guys how much during this run, how much of a unit T'Challa is. And by that I mean he is a physical specimen. Look at that dude's calves. He can drop kick a fucking mule. Look at those calves, right?
Dude, you're
I
so
mean,
crazy.
look at the panel down there when Everett is saying kill him, kill him. His calves are way bigger than his ankles. T'Challa is a unit.
You're admiring the fact that T'Challa never misses his leg day.
Right. T'Challa does not miss leg day. And I appreciate that of him. Look at his triceps. T'Challa is that dude. I mean, there is no way around it. T'Challa is absolutely that dude. And so basically, when you read a couple of pages further, you find out how T'Challa was able to physically manhandle, for lack of a better phrase, an elder god or a demon. And so basically, T'Challa's entourage was able to utilize science in order to cut Mephisto off from his source dimension. See, Mephisto is not native to the Earth plane of existence. He's accustomed to being in his own dimension, which is hell, for lack of a better term. And so T'Challa scientists are in this building, and they have created a barrier so Mephisto cannot absorb the energy that makes him pretty much a formidable opponent. And so that's why he was able to lay him out the way that he did.
And that's what I wanted to bring up. People sometimes make these comments that I always disagree with. They're like, "Oh, Black Panther is so OP. He's the Batman of the Marvel universe. He can beat everybody." I hate to see him drawn that way or written that way. And that's not what happened here. If you just surf the internet and you see images like the one we see where he's knocking out Mephisto, you might say to yourself, "Oh, this is another example of him being OP, knocking out the devil. No way little T'Challa could do something like that." But then there's a quick explanation. And T'Challa's real superpower is why this scene is possible. T'Challa's superpower has never been his enhanced senses, his strength, or healing factor, any of that. It's not even his tech. It's his mind. T'Challa was raised to think 5 steps ahead of everyone. He didn't just burst into the apartment in Brooklyn, kick in the door, and punch the dude. He had the forethought to study Mephisto, study that the fact that he's existing on a certain level or realm of existence and between dimensions, and it's weakening him, and he come up with a way to weaken him further so they could find the exact moment to knock him out.
Yeah.
That's T'Challa's superpower. And
Right.
that's what people just always seem to lose sight of, is that he's always thinking and he's always tactical. It's not about his ability to bench press something.
And one thing that you also have to understand about being smart doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything about everything. That helps. Like Reed Richards is probably, quite frankly, the smartest. No, I take that back. Moon Girl, right? Moon Girl. But Moon Girl, Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, etc., are some of the smartest people on the planet, and they are smart within their particular field or realm of their expertise. But just because you are an extremely smart or brilliant person doesn't mean that you have to know everything about everything. Being smart means that you're smart enough to know, I don't know this one thing, but I know somebody who does. And I can rely on that person to answer this specific question. And so that's another thing about T'Challa, is that, yes, he is this brilliant scientist. He has created, shadow physics and things of that nature. But he also is smart enough and self-aware enough to know, okay, you know what? I can't do everything myself. I need to rely on other people and their experience and their expertise in whatever issue it is. Bruce Wayne, he supposedly knows everything about everything, but nobody can do that in reality. So mad shout out to T'Challa for being self aware enough to know that I can't know everything about everything and relies on other people. And you didn't show this page, but when T'Challa showed up in New York in this during this run, he's got like 20 or 30 people with him. Well, these are all brilliant Wakandan scientists who were able to develop a way to cut Mephisto off from his energy source, which allowed T'Challa to physically manhandle him. Okay, I said 20 or 30, that's about 50 individuals. And they are not fitting in that Miata. Yeah.
All right. So there was one other thing I wanted to point out about this book. And it's not what you might think. Something that has been lost from many comic books is this. The letters page. Letters page before the internet, boys and girls. The letters page was the way that you had the ability to correspond with your creators of your comics and interact with them and share your thoughts and get feedback from them before Twitter. So there's this exchange between this one reader and Christopher Priest that I thought was kind of interesting, because Christopher Priest does not do a lot of interviews about Black Panther. So the fact that he gave a very in-depth response to a reader's criticisms, I thought was kind of interesting. It's like taking a glimpse into what Christopher Priest's mind was back in 1988, 99, or when this was written.
1999.
Yeah, it was, 99 is when it was released. 98 is probably when he wrote it, as you'll tell from this letter. And it also told me something that I was unaware of, and something I've said repeatedly, and apparently I was wrong. So this is what the just bear with me. It's a little long, but it's interesting. The letter starts, Dear Black Panther, dear Panther crew, thank you for caring about this character to give him as much deserved and much overdue ongoing series. I always thought this was just a limited series, the original Marvel Knights run, but apparently it was always slated as an ongoing. I didn't know that. Finally, my hero can sit among the Daredevils and Punishers of the Marvel Universe. I think the segmented storytelling style is a kick in the butt that comics need. T'Challa's supporting cast is the most original I've seen for a long while. Man, the Dora Milaje. I've been reading Black Panther books for about 5 years, collecting all the old Jungle Action books and his various minis. But you did exactly what everyone expects of leading Black characters. You put a Panther in the ghetto. Mephisto's ring on cover 2 was tasteless. At first, he comes off as a costume-wearing Donald Goines hitman, bald with that goatee, which Mark would agree he hates the look.
Yep.
His style is too urban American. It's a bit coded right there. Africans and African Americans express themselves culturally in very different forms. I cannot accept that the King of Wakanda, a scientist whom Reed Richards has asked advice from, and an Avenger, would look like Iceberg Slim. That's actually on point. There are more ways than stone cold bald guy with shades to express Black strength.
Yep.
T'Challa is still relatively young and holds a lot of innocence behind his hard manner. As much as I love the artwork, I did not feel his personality. Not so harsh, guys. It will get tired really soon. Also, why does he need claws to climb out of the river? Lose the cape. But I really enjoyed the books. The scene with Everett and Mephisto was priceless. Thanks. Needed the laugh.
Yep.
Signed, Robert Evans III. So this is Priest's response. Hey, thanks for the note. We took your questions directly to the source. Here's Mr. Priest's reply. Just a couple of things. Yes, we based Panther in a housing project, but that owed more to the current storyline of the scandal at the Tomorrow Fund. He sought housing as close to the Tomorrow Fund's offices as practical. Panther is not a man who considers political or social or even racial imperatives. He is not an American and does not think American thoughts. This is simply where he needed to be. I'm working on issue 10. Now, this is issue 4.
4, yeah.
He's already working on issue 10. So he has been writing 6 months in advance. And over the course of his first year, we will see him in the ghetto, at the Waldorf Astoria, at Avengers Mansion, in firefights in Paris and Hong Kong, in penthouses and slums and everywhere else he is needed. So he had thought this out for a while. I mean, he's talking an entire year's worth of writing. So that's indicative of the fact that Marvel at least let him know you got some stuff to write. And it might also be a combination of how much he cranked out before these books dropped. So I thought that was kind of interesting, because I don't think Marvel does that for anybody. Well, not just anybody. As for his overall gangster look again, it's a mistake to assume he's trying to be hard or that he's adopting any of our urban cultural aspects. T'Challa is simply being T'Challa, as I see him. He's a king. Kings by nature have a regal, almost arrogant stance, and they tend to deal directly and concisely with, well, non-kings. What's important to note here is that T'Challa has been the singular vision of one very talented man for decades. And now I'm here, hopefully bringing some gifts of my own. And I see Panther differently than he has been traditionally presented. Now, up until this point, T'Challa's always been presented by white writers who have their own take on the character. And there's nothing wrong with their take. But Priest is the first black writer on T'Challa on an ongoing run. And his goal, as exemplified by his writing, was to make T'Challa cool. To bring him from being the C-lister, which he was at this time, and make him an A-list character. At least write him that way. He wouldn't actually become an A-lister, for another couple decades. But at the time, Priest was writing him as an A-list character. Hudlin wrote him as an A-list character, even though he wasn't considered that at the time. That's important. The dark glasses enhance his night vision, and his gangster demeanor, while conveniently and deliberately designed to appeal to the hip-hop culture, is in my mind less a function of his adopting our culture than the evidence of the world's most centered human being patiently waiting for his prey. As you will see in later issues, the Dora Milaje were children during most of the Panther's earlier adventures, pre-teens running around the Wakandan palace. I'm taking careful steps not to contradict the Panther's earlier continuity, while also not being hamstrung by it. Now, you know what Mark and I have to do? We're going to have to go back into Jungle Action, go back into Volume 2, and find these children that Priest is referring to. Because those children, in whatever issue that is, whatever comic that is, were the Dora Milaje that we see now.
But they were not a Dora Milaje unit until Priest.
Yes, obviously. But I'm saying he took those characters and ran with them and expounded upon them and said, you know what, I'm going to make these kids running around the palace into these warrior women that we know as the Dora Milaje.
Right.
So retroactively, it's kind of like their first appearance wasn't in Black Panther #1 of this volume, but in whatever issue that was that they were presented. And I'm just curious as to what issue that is. So I have to do some research on that. The Panther, as I see him, is direct and can be ruthless in cutting through the BS and getting from point A to point B. Again, this is a warrior mentality and the demanding nature of kings. The main difference between T'Challa, as I see him, and Prince Namor is T'Challa has more impulse control. Mm-hmm. But they are both monarchs, and Panther has, in my opinion, been played far too passively. That's the difference. That's the difference between his predecessors and the run at this point. He's making T'Challa cool, and he's making T'Challa an alpha dog, the black alpha dog, which many of the fandom didn't like that concept. I think he is cultured and civilized and very kind, and people mistake that for weakness. But he is also a panther, silent, deadly, and not the least bit reluctant to throw someone off a roof. I don't consider him overly harsh. He's direct, but his kindness and warmth are boundless as well. Without the claws, he'd need a rope to get out of the river. As for the cape, I like him much better with it, so we'll just have to disagree there. Give the series a chance here, Robert. You've only seen the barest presentation of our take on Panther. I assure you there's much more to him than the Night Avenger chopping people up. Lots of surprises in store, and a lot more depth to him than you're picking up here. Thanks again for taking the time to write. I can't always respond personally to the mail, but we do take the time to read it. Best, CJP.
So when he wrote this, Robert had only read 3 issues, maybe 2 issues, perhaps 3 by the time that letter was written and made its way to Priest.
Right.
But cape or no cape? What do you think? Cape or no cape?
I was never a big fan of the cape. I don't mind him wearing the cape for ceremonies.
Yeah.
But the shorter cape I prefer. The longer cape that they presented in some of the issues, it just made him look too much like Batman. I didn't like that.
Yeah. In a fight, in my mind's eye, I'm seeing the original Mr. and Mrs. Smith movie with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And during one of the scenes, the two of them are fighting each other. And as they're fighting, Angelina Jolie grabs Brad Pitt's tie and starts wailing on him. So he takes the tie off. Well, the cape in a fight would be a hindrance. As Edna Mode says, no capes.
No capes.
No capes. So, like Paul just said, during ceremonies, yes. But as a regular part of his uniform, when he's, out there battling, fighting crime, it's not really practical.
It's not practical for close quarter battle combatants.
Yeah.
If you're a superhero who flies around in the sky and people are far away from you, capes are perfectly fine.
And here's the thing. I'm going to pull this image up. The cape aside, T'Challa looks suave. That black and gold that he's wearing, and then it's, and understand, he's got Mephisto, the devil, on the ground. And he literally rips his heart out in the next image.
That goes back to the ruthlessness that the priest was talking about.
But T'Challa knows that ripping his heart out is not really going to kill Mephisto, but he does it to illustrate a point and to try to weaken him. But I like this design, but yeah, the cape needs to go. I do agree that the cape needs to go.
Pericles says, as opposed to a cape, I'd prefer a garment like what T'Chaka wore in the flashback scene from Black Panther, the movie.
Yeah.
That kente cloth outfit type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And Bo Biggs dropping some cheddar on the Black Comic Lords. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And with that, you get my favorite super chat video, which I can't find because Derek always hides everything and doesn't label it in big bold letters, but you got it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
So that was the Wakanda portion. Now it's time for the new books of the week.
Before we get to that, hold on. We're going to take some time and pay the bills. Well, not paying the bills because we don't get paid for any of the things that Black Comic Lords do. But we're going to play some commercials. Take a short commercial break. Go grab yourself a drink. Go use the bathroom. We'll be right back.
This is Derek Harrison of Black Comic Lords, and I'm here with Greg Burnham. You might know him from Tuskegee Airs. He's got several other titles, and this is a new one that's coming out in November.
November 22nd, Little Rock Files. It was a story that we originally did in Noir is the New Black, which is an awesome anthology y'all need to get if you don't have it. But we did a 6-pager in there, and we ended up getting asked to do a full book. So the interiors, I'm holding this one. These are 2 of the covers. The interiors are being done by Quinn McGowan, who did this book. Who did this poster cover. And then Marcus Williams, my co-creator on Tuskegee Airs, he did the art for this cover. And we also put like our original 6 pages in the book. just so you can have everything that we've done so far. It's a 1980s noir detective story that takes place in Little Rock, Arkansas. We actually put some reference some real things that were going on back in the time as far as the drug trade and dirty governors that turned into presidents, but that's a different story. So yeah, check it out, November 22nd. It will be in comic shops. If your shop didn't order it originally, get in there and ask them to get you a copy. We're trying to do some really good stuff with this book, and we appreciate you.
Dear Mr. Billy Graham, I know this letter is late, but you know what they say, better late than never. And I'm writing to you because I know you'll never read this or hear this. It's a measure of therapy for me, I guess. Wondering how you never get mentioned when you are really only one of the few worth mentioning. After all, I don't think Sam and Dave had you in mind, but without question, you are a soul man. How else can you explain how a man can draw tears so well if he never shed any tears of his own? Yes, and I hear music, especially drums, when I see jungle action panels. And when I see Luke Cage panels, I hear the jukebox blaring out horns in the after hours joint. I guess I'm trying to say, Mr. Graham, that I dig your style, and you deserve to be celebrated like the heroes you drew. Like I said, you won't see or hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Thank you, Mr. Billy Graham. You are a Black History legend. Respectfully, the Black Comic Lords. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, peace.
I gotta say, I think that one is probably my favorite of the Rich Recommend videos. Shout out to you, OG Rich. I mean, got that smooth, silky bass, Barry White voice. There's some poetry and art in those videos you do. So shout out to you, brother. You do a great job on those. And I wanted to play that one specifically because of the announcement this week that both Don McGregor and the great Billy Graham are getting inducted into the Eisner Awards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lifetime achievement. And
I am so mad at myself because I go to Dragon Con every year. Dragon Con is one of the bigger conventions, nerd conventions that occurs every year here in Atlanta, Labor Day weekend. Paul has come up here at least once for it. I go every year. If not for the whole convention, I'll definitely go to the parade. When I was at the parade last year, I had on my Black Panther or Wakanda baseball jersey. And, I'm in the crowd and there are people going by or whatever. And I see a Sprinter van and it's got some Black Panther stuff on it. And it will typically have the name of the person who is riding in it, who is of importance. Don McGregor was riding in that Sprinter van. And the people in the van, they saw my Wakanda shirt and they were beckoning me to come over there. And I did not. And the dude has got to be in his 60s, if not older. And I don't know if I'll ever have that opportunity to meet him again. I didn't go, and I'll kick myself for that to this day. But if I
Why
ever
didn't you go? Did you not know it was Don McGregor inside?
Well, I saw that it was him. Like, they started out over there, and as they were coming, I'm like, oh shit, that's Don McGregor. And I was with a friend of mine, and they're coming by and they were beckoning, and I didn't want to leave her. I just, yeah. So, but shout out to Don McGregor.
You didn't want to leave your friend because to go see Don McGregor.
Well, I mean, I was
priorities.
I was under the impression that they were going to invite me into the Sprinter van because they weren't going to stop the parade. So I would have been part of his crew. Probably took me up to the penthouse suite and had scrimps and lobsters. So no, I wasn't gonna do all that. So yeah. But if I ever have the opportunity to meet him again, I definitely will take that opportunity. So, books of this week.
Reads of the week. What's our first read of the week?
Amazon Attacks number 5. The reason why this one is mentioned is, and we haven't really talked about it before that I recall, but the reason why this one is mentioned for this week is that Queen Nubia features prominently in this book. Nubia takes over. There are 3 different sects of Amazons, right? The Amazons from Themyscira that Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, comes from are the main ones that we've known about for 50, 60 years or whatever. Shout out to Marsden. What was the creator of Wonder Woman's name? His name was something Marsden. I cannot remember.
Dr. something Marsden.
Right. Dr. Marsden in real life is the man who invented the polygraph machine. And in early Marsden was into I don't kink shame because we're all into whatever we're into. But Marsden was into some stuff. And in early iterations of Wonder Woman, in order to weaken her, she had to be bound by her own lasso and she would lose her power. So I saw Marsden and his Wonder Woman. That is a very, very good movie. I went to the theater to see it. What's Derek? Not Derek. Luke James. Not Luke James. I'll figure it out here in a minute. But the guy who I thought should have been Namor was the main who played Dr. Marsden, and so he was
the guy who played Dracula.
The guy who played Dracula, yes. If you can look his name up for me real quick. But Marsden, the real dude Marsden, had a polyamorous life. He was married, but one of his grad students, he and his wife basically got into a relationship with them. But I mention all that because he created the whole mythology of Wonder Woman with Themyscira. And that's basically what we've been focused on for the past 60, 70 years, however old the character is. Within the past 5 or 6 years, the writers have introduced 2 other tribes of Amazonian women. And they've been making their appearances regularly. Now, the Bana Migdal, I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. They are a tribe who's in South America, whatever. They are
No. They're from Egypt.
Egypt, sorry, yes, Egypt, and they are led by a woman of color. I'm not gonna say she's black the way we describe black, but
she is.
But she's clearly a woman of color.
Fayuza.
See, I can never remember names like that. But basically, what's going on in this story is that the world is being turned against Amazonians because of what one supposed Amazonian did here in America by basically committing a terrorist attack. And, the equivalent of Fox News in DC, in the DC universe, was spinning things in a way so that the whole world is against Amazonians. And in the storyline, as far as Amazon Attacks and Wonder Woman, written by Tom Taylor, which is very brilliant. He's one of the best writers out there right now. There is this shadow character who is the king of America. He is descendant of a lot of individuals who have controlled things behind the scenes. Being the president or being out front as a politician is all well and good. But more often than not, what you don't see are the people behind that person who actually put them in place, who put them in power, who have more control of things without being the target of, slander, or whatever, because they are behind the scenes. You can think of the Koch brothers as an example. You know, they've been donating to, well, one of them died, but the Koch brother now. They've been donating billions and millions of dollars.
Bo
Luke
Big
Evans,
looked up the
thank
name
you.
for you. Look at
Luke
it.
Evans, thank you. They have been donating money. And so this particular character, who's the king of America, so to speak, is trying to reassert the dominance of men and males. And so that's why they wanted to denigrate Wonder Woman. And so there is this basic all-out war against Wonder Woman and the Amazonians. And with Nubia being the now face of Themyscira, when she took over, she went on a goodwill tour, much like T'Challa and Storm did after they got married during the Hudlin run. But that terrorist attack happened, and so now they're fighting against pretty much the world. And in this particular episode, with absolutely no spoilers, they're having to deal with the repercussions of the world looking at them with a jaundiced eye and looking at them with threats. Mary Marvel, aka Miss Mary, Mary Batson. I'm sorry, Mary Batson, who is Miss Marvel, is in this book or in this series.
AKA the token white person who's in the book, so it won't be a quote unquote black book because she serves zero purpose in the book.
Yeah, Peacemaker is
Peacemaker's hilarious,
and that's why I was chuckling, because he is funny, and I'm thinking about John Cena playing this
every
role.
page. Right. All I hear is John Cena's voice.
Right. If you, as an aside, if you did not watch the Peacemaker series that came out, it is a very, very good series.
It is.
It is a really, really, really good series.
It's very
so I highly recommend that series.
One of the most entertaining superhero shows of all time. Honestly.
Yes. Like, look, with no spoilers, just looking at the image right here, I see John Cena with that goofy ass look on his face. It just cracked me up. So,
but Amazon's like, you're on the wrong side. He's like, respectfully, ma'am, the zeros on my check from the government say otherwise.
This is a very enjoyable series. We're on episode 5, and I know up to this point we've not talked about it, but I am enjoying the whole mythos of Wonder Woman. Like, I've said in this space before, for the longest time, especially growing up back in the 80s or whatever, I was not a DC person other than Teen Titans. That was the only book that I collected. Now, within the past 3 to 5 years, I've collected more first-run DC books than I ever have in my 40-plus year collection history.
Yeah,
this is a good book. I like the whole Wonder Woman mythos. As I said, this book is a companion to what's going on in Wonder Woman, which I absolutely love. So I would recommend Wonder Woman. The art in Wonder Woman is spectacular. I know that's not a black book.
Do you know who's writing the Wonder Woman book right now?
Yeah. Like I said, Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor's also writing Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. See, this is not written by Tom Taylor.
Oh, who wrote this one?
This is written by somebody by the name of something Campbell, and I'll tell you here in a minute.
Josie Campbell.
Josie Campbell, who's a white lady.
That's right.
But Tom Taylor is writing the main Wonder Woman book, and I am really, really enjoying it. Wonder Woman, the latest issue.
I only read the first issue of that Wonder Woman book, but it was dope. The political stance on it.
Yeah, but Amazon Attacks is going to be a mini series. It's not ongoing to my knowledge. It is a good read, so I would encourage you guys to pick that up, simply because it features Nubia strongly in the book, in the run.
And I'll take it a step further. It's kind of a semi-origin story of Nubia in this issue. If you're a Nubia fan, you would be remiss not to collect this particular issue, because there's a slight little niche on her origin is in this issue that hasn't been seen before. That was kind of cool. The Bana Migdal I wanted to talk about what issue they were first introduced. And I only know this because, for some reason, I just stumbled across it. This is Wonder Woman Volume 2, issue number 30. This was drawn by the great George Perez.
Met him.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. God rest his soul.
I've met him a number of times. He used to do cons in Florida all the time. In fact, the very first con I ever went to is when I first met George Perez. I got a picture. It was like some picture of Wonder Woman that he signed for me. He also signed copies I had of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, that's what I had him sign
Yeah.
for me when I met him. Yeah.
And he's just the nicest man. Nicest man in the world. He
God
also
rest
did
his soul.
he did a cover, a blank cover, Batman image for me as well. And he doesn't charge like a whole bunch of money to do stuff like that either. He mostly does it for fun. He did it for fun. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
That was a loss to the comic book community.
Yep.
But yeah, he invented this, and this was, for all intents and purposes, the first sort of nation of Black Amazons we saw in DC Comics.
I'm gonna add that to my list.
Well, outside of Nubia's island, the floating island, this is the other community that we saw. So I thought this was really cool, and I think this is where Faiza was first introduced. She and Wonder Woman have been rivals, and their relationship has grown over the last few years, and they've become allies. And Faiza even signed off on her becoming queen and had respect for her. So you see further development of that relationship in this issue. I won't give any spoilers, but there's an interesting development in their relationship at the end of this issue.
And let me say this. Basically, Hippolyta, who has been the queen of the Amazons for a couple of thousand years, has died and has been elevated to a goddess herself. So she's on Mount Olympus with Hera, Zeus, Ares, etc., etc. To replace her, Nubia is now the queen. And if you want to see about her backstory as it's been presented in recent issues, I would encourage you to pick up Nubia and the Amazons, which is a 6-issue series which came out in 2021. And there was Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, which came out in 2022, which is 4 issues. And then you have Nubia, the Coronation Special, which is right here. And this is, I have a thing from Fit Chicks, and I absolutely love
You said that in a live for people to hear.
Listen, I have no shame whatsoever. I like a chick who works. There's no shame in my game about anything that I do or what I like. And I love this image right here. And I wish they could have made this movie or introduced Nubia in movies about 15
Let me see that image that you just showed again.
This is I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's the Coronation Special. And this is her right here. And Watina Wesley, aka I can't remember her name from True Blood, and she plays in Queen Sugar. But she would have been a great actress. Now, I don't know if she can get rid of that Southern accent that she always has, but physically, she would have been the perfect actress for that role.
Are you looking at your CLZ app when you show that?
Yes, I am.
Pull up Nubia and the Amazons #1.
Nubia and the Amazons #1. Yes,
yep.
Right here.
Hold on. Let me make you big. Okay. You see that art?
Yeah.
Who's the artist on the book?
No idea. Let me see.
Go ahead and look at it. That's the app is for.
Aletha Martinez.
Aletha Martinez. Now, where have we seen that name before?
I think she owes me $10.
You'd be shocked.
She owes me $10.
She owes you $10.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book that we were just talking about. Black Panther issue volume 3, number 4. Who did the breakdown?
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Because I thought Mark Tahara was
Mark Texiera did the finishes. But the breakdown, the background breakdown. So what you see in the backgrounds here, all this, the streets, all that, that was Aletha Martinez.
Okay, so here's what I find interesting, because
I did not realize until recently how far back this woman's
right. But here's the thing,
history goes.
We're under the impression that this is the Priest run, but it says that Joe Quesada is the one who did the storytelling in this. So,
well,
who's actually doing the writing? That's what
Joe Quesada ultimately became an editor. So I think he was more of the plotter. Like, here's what I want to see Black Panther do. And Priest executed it. But Aletha Martinez did the background.
That's 25 years ago.
I didn't know her history went back that far.
Yeah, that's crazy. But all that being said, Amazon Attacks, along with Wonder Woman, I think we're on issue 7 or 8 of Wonder Woman. Those are some good reads. I personally enjoy them. So, yeah.
Before we move on, we've got about, 29, 30 people watching us right now. I would really, 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 really strongly like each and every one of you to hit the like button right now. Please. Hit the likes. It costs you nothing, but it helps our algorithm and helps us to do what we do. More importantly, if you're not subscribed to the channel and you're digging what we're throwing out here, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you're made aware of when we do these videos in the future. And most importantly, share our videos. Share them across your social media. Share them to a friend. Share them to an enemy. I don't care. Just share the videos. Let other people know about us, because we'd like to grow and we'd like to be bigger and we'd like to show you guys more stuff.
Cool. What are some of the comments?
No new comments. The chat has been remarkably quiet. I don't know if that's indicative of them either being bored or being completely captivated about everything that we're saying and they're not saying anything. What's up, chat? You guys still there? It's weird.
Well, while we're doing that, let's move on to the next book.
Let's move on to the next book.
Conan.
Now, you had an interesting thing happen to you last time we talked about Conan.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that other thing with that. Never mind. Go ahead. My bad.
Wow. That's, again, family show, dude. Come on.
Okay, so the cover artist, I don't know who the cover artist is. I'm not a huge fan of the cover art, but the interior art is drawn by Mr. Braithwaite.
Douglas Braithwaite from the UK.
Yep. And then they called him something in here. Hold on, let me see if I can find that page. Here we go. He's called The Diabolical Doug Braithwaite, and the story is written by Grim Jim Zub. And the interesting thing that you mentioned, go ahead.
The interesting thing that I mentioned? Oh, yes. Yeah, so was it the last time we did a show, or was it 2 episodes before that? I don't know, it doesn't matter. The last time we spoke about Conan the Barbarian, Mark,
following week.
It was all right. Mark is the one who brought this book to our attention, because I didn't know anything about it. And he noted that Doug Braithwaite was the artist, and he really liked the book, and that's why he talked about it and said it's a really great book. Oddly enough, the writer of the book, Mr.
Jim Zub,
commented on the video, and I think he shared it as well, and thanked us for talking about the book and liking the book and saying, I love Doug Braithwaite. Working with him has been great, and he's going to be on several more issues coming up in the future. So shout out to Jim Zub.
And shout out to definitely Diabolical Doug Braithwaite.
Yeah. The artwork's pretty dope.
The art in this book is spectacular. The story is phenomenal.
I'm curious. I've been really getting into more of the... I've never been a fan of black and white art. A lot of the early Conan stuff was black and white in the magazines.
It depends on which one, because Conan has had several different iterations. But yes,
Yeah,
there
there
have
have
been
been
black and white.
lots of different versions of Conan, but
Yeah.
some of the earlier stuff in the magazines were black and white. Doug Braithwaite's art, black and white, intrigues me. I think it would be really dope to see that. I would like to see an issue where they do like a black and white noir version of him doing Conan. I think that would be kind of dope to see.
So check this out, and it's funny that you say that, but this week, I want to say it's a magazine size Conan was released. I think it was called Conan
Savage Conan.
Savage Conan was released. I didn't pick it up, but and I don't know if he did any art in it, but the art in it is black and white, so that's something to think about.
Okay,
But
I know the cover artist is the great Joe Jusko.
Yeah, my comic book guy told me that because there are different stories in it. It is an anthology, I guess, kind of, and he said that my comic book guy told me that some of the stories are pretty good. So, yeah, and I probably will go back and pick it up.
Anything significant in this issue you want to talk about?
Yeah, no. Let me just say that
because I thumbed through this. Did he go? One of the best Conan stories that I enjoyed was from the Marvel run, where he spent time on the Black Coast, and he ran across and he met what's the dude's name? Zula, the Black Prince who was his companion, hanging out for a while when he was traveling the Black Coast, which is like their code for the African coast. And he was doing all these adventures, and he ran across this vampire that had like one of the very first vampires, which is like this black vampire living in a cave. Those are some dope stories.
Right. Well, in this book, Conan is dealing with one of his ancient enemies. I think it's Thulsa Doom. What's his name?
Thulsa Doom is one of his ancient enemies. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
one who was played by
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones in the Conan movie.
So in this book, Thulsa Doom is, a mystic, a very dangerous foe or whatever. And Conan has had up until issue 7, this is issue 8. Conan was, Conan is a hedonist, right? He lives for the day. He gets hired to do a job. He does the job, gets the money. He spends it on wine, women, and song until the money runs out, and then he goes and does something else, right? That's one of the things that I love about Conan. He knows that death is a part of life. He knows that he could die at any moment based on the way that he lives his life. So he grabs life by the throat and fully embraces and enjoys it. So that's one of the reasons why I like him as a character. Plus, he's an absolute unit. The dude is just big, strong, and manly. And that's a very cool trait. So Conan has been dealing with the fact that he's done this particular job, and the job has had repercussions due to some mystic stuff that's going on. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for you. In this specific issue, he's having to deal with some spirits that occurred in previous issues. It is a very, very good read. It is a very interesting read. I am thoroughly enjoying this book, and the art by Mr. Braithwaite is phenomenal. It's very detailed. It's the word that I want to use is visceral. It just, I can just feel, without giving any spoilers or whatever, I can just feel this for some reason. Conan is talking to some people, and it's a visceral feeling whenever I read this book. Back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, there was a book called the Death Dealer series. And that's what I have in mind when I read these books. That character that Conan has his sword up against is somebody who makes a one-off appearance, who actually, who's black. Conan was traveling through the jungles of Kush, so obviously that is in Africa or whatever the case may be. But the way Doug Braithwaite draws the characters and draws the sinews and muscles of these characters, he just does a spectacular job. I have nothing negative to say about this book. I absolutely love this book. If you like the Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Earl Jones, definitely this is the one that I would suggest that you pick up.
Well, all right. So
Any
what's
chapters?
our next book? We
Before
have
we
a
go,
couple comments here. Doug Braithwaite is a great artist who has been around for a long time. I enjoy his work.
yeah.
Braithwaite doesn't appear to be featured in Savage Sword of Conan. No, I don't
Okay.
think he's in that.
Okay, good to know.
Frustrated. I'm so dang late. Man.
Yeah, you are. We weren't gonna start the show until you got here frustrated, but we just couldn't wait any longer, man. What the hell?
He was doing well too, because he actually showed up on time early for like the last show or something like that.
Yeah, like what the hell are you doing with your life, man? Like you
I don't know
got
what this
wife
dude's
and
doing,
kids
man.
and stuff.
At least he showed up. Thank you for showing up. What's our next book, sir?
I think Frustrated should at least give us $1 being late. Next book, Harriet Tubman.
Black Tax.
Harriet Tubman is called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, but in actuality, it is Harriet Tubman Vampire Hunter. I was talking to my
I disagree with that, but go ahead.
That's fine. I was talking to the book is written by David Crownson and a brother about Harriet Tubman, a real life person who is a sister, and she is a quote unquote demon hunter. But in actuality, what she is in the book, she is the conductor of the Underground Railroad. By that, I mean, for those of you who don't know, she helps enslaved people escape to freedom in the North. In the book, however, she has to deal with the paranormal. She has to deal with paranormal activities. By that, I mean she has to deal with vampires, witches, werewolves, and things of that nature. She is supernaturally strong, fast, and things of that nature that help her fight those type of creatures.
She's a superhero.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this book. This specific issue, I will say, is for me personally, is one of the weaker issues of the 6 that have been released, but it is still a fun read. Without giving any spoilers, going back to the last issue, Harriet is being hunted herself by some slave owners because, well, human traffic. Oh, I like that cover. She has been hunted by some human traffickers because they know that she is the one who's behind freeing slaves. One of the phrases from issue 5 is, one of the panels is like, some niggas stealing our niggas. And I just, that just cracked me up. And I can hear that in the Southern twang. And I actually,
it sounds literally like a line that you would get out of Blazing Saddles.
Well, not Blazing Saddles for me, but Django Unchained. And I heard that voice in Don Johnson's voice, aka Sonny Crockett from Miami Vice, aka Big Daddy from Django Unchained. And I heard that in his voice. It's like, some niggas stealing our niggas. And that was just funny to me. But that aside, I am thoroughly enjoying this book. I did not think this specific issue was one of the better issues of the 6 that had been released, but it was still a solid, good issue. Now, this is the cover A. I had not seen the cover that Paul has up on the screen, but I think I'm going to sit up here and try to find that specific issue. One of the things that I found interesting, this is from Kingwood Comics, right? So it's independent comic. They had a character in here called the Jersey Devil. And all I can think of when I'm sitting up here reading this is the Blue Devil from DC Comics, but that's not the same character. But that's all I was thinking about when I was reading this. But this is a good read altogether, and I would encourage you to pick this book up.
All right. I haven't read it yet. I haven't received my copy yet. I ordered it, but I haven't got it yet. I'll get it next week.
Yeah.
Pericles says, "Damn, I can't see."
What is that? What is that about?
Oh,
the mask from Django Unchained. Yes.
Oh man.
Next time, don't ask me and mine for shit.
So we're just not trying to get monetized on this video. All right.
So hold on, one final thing. So Big Daddy, you think I should treat them like white folks? No, that's not what I said. Django Unchained is an absolute classic film.
It is. I don't care what everybody says. That's a dope movie.
Who is that on that name? Let me just say this, and Paul knows this. My two favorite writers and directors are Quentin Tarantino and Guy Ritchie. Nobody writes dialogue like they do. Nobody.
Speaking of Guy Ritchie, he's got the new Gentleman Show.
Yes, I am looking forward to that movie with Henry Cavill.
Look,
Really,
I share Mark's enthusiasm for Guy Ritchie. I love Guy Ritchie films, man. I love Guy Ritchie films.
Speaking of Guy Ritchie films, The Gentleman was absolutely phenomenal, right? Yeah. There is a series coming on Netflix in the Gentleman world.
I think it already dropped, didn't it?
No, don't tell me that.
Does it come out?
I don't know that it has. I don't believe it has. Don't tell me that.
If it hasn't come out yet, it's coming out really soon.
It's coming out in March. I want to say it's coming out in March, but yes. Love Guy Ritchie. Love Quentin Tarantino.
All right, so our next issue.
All you do is criticize. Next time, don't ask me and mine for. What are some of the other chats? I can see this.
That was it. That was the last one.
Okay.
So our next and final book,
Spider-Punk. Not a fan.
By the dude Cody Ziegler.
Listen, all due respect to Cody Ziegler and the things that he's done up to this point, was not a fan of this book at all. And
why is that?
I can't really, I don't have the vocabulary to articulate what it was that I didn't like about the book, but I'm sitting up here reading it, and there are characters who make an appearance who I was thrilled about, absolutely, but it just was so kiddie. It wasn't deep to me. It just, and not all comic books obviously have to be deep, but it just was fluff. I did not like this book at all. Like I said, I got to halfway through. This is we're half far. Okay, so without words, this is about how far I have left. This is I got a lot left. I just was not impressed with this at all. I mean, I like the concept because I'm pretty sure they're not on Earth 616, correct?
No, clearly not.
Okay.
This is an alternative universe.
Right. So, things that happen with the idea of the multiverse, we can have characters that we are accustomed to acting in different ways and manners than what we've seen them in the main 616 universe. And I understand that about this book. But just the way Cody, wrote these characters was not, to me, entertaining, and I did not enjoy it. Again, I did appreciate the appearance of certain characters, but I just...
Thank you for not doing the spoiler.
I never give spoilers. I just love the cover art. Love it. But I just not a fan.
I actually liked this issue better than I liked the first volume of Spider-Punk. The first volume of Spider-Punk, I didn't get. It seemed a little disjointed for me.
Was it written by Cody as well?
Yeah. I like this one much better because they had a purpose, and I guess because it was just more a simple thing. Because in the first volume, he was kind of establishing the universe, so you kind of like this world is complete anarchy and chaos, and I have no idea what's going on, and I like to know what's going on. But because I already read the first volume, I understood that world. So when reading the second volume, I didn't have to have the backstory as to how crazy their world was. And they have a specified purpose, the characters. So I actually enjoy this issue better than I did issue 1 of the first volume.
So did Cody create Spider-Punk?
No.
So when
He
did
was created
Spider-Punk?
by Olivier Coipel, and I forget who the writer was.
So
Who created him?
when did Spider-Punk make his first appearance?
Oh, jeez.
So for those who are watching,
It's on the website. That's my answer. Check out blackcomiclords.net and type in Spider-Punk. It should be there.
The very first time I saw Spider-Punk was in the animated movie that came out last year. I had never
Really?
seen
That's the first time you saw him?
the very first time that I personally saw Spider-Punk was in the animated movie that came out last year. I had never seen or heard of that character before, ever. So, yeah. But, the way Daniel Kaluuya voiced him in the animated movie was really cool. And so because I knew he is a Black character is the reason why I picked up this book. But the way that the information was presented, the way the story was presented, I just did not feel any connection or enjoyment to it.
Well, that's why your experience is different, because you never read the first volume.
No.
So I went to our website, blackcomiclords.net, and looked up Spider-Punk. Why is it not clicking? Where's my clicker? First appearance, Amazing Spider-Man number 10 in the year 2015. First appearance of Spider-Punk. This is when they're doing their their Spider-Verse storyline. Superior Spider-Man.
So I wonder what volume that is.
The volume, I don't remember the volume. It says year 2015. I don't remember what volume that is.
2015?
Yeah. That's his first appearance. It looks very different than what he looks like in this comic.
So it seems like
that was the thing. I didn't like the change of his look in this comic. It was a bit too much for me.
So it seems like that probably was Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, of which I only have one issue.
I do have this issue. I do have that issue. The other thing, the Spider-Punk that we have in the comics is not British. The Spider-Punk that Daniel Kaluuya had in the movie is.
Right. And he was cool. He was suave. Yeah.
South London, the accent.
Yep.
Just reminded me. Looks like he came out of a Guy Ritchie film. Honestly, I love that character. I love the Spider-Punk version in the movies more than I like the one in the comics, because Daniel Kaluuya did such an outstanding job redefining the character. I prefer that character version, and so when I read this one, I am already biased and jaded against a version that is not what I saw in that movie. So having him change his look to sort of emphasize the fact that I'm not seeing the version that I really like to see, which is the one from the movie.
And the Spider-Punk from the movie reminded me of a British Lenny Kravitz. That's who I thought of when I read
pretty much this guy right here.
Yeah.
That's the version I wanted to see in the comic.
But I would just say that, me personally, I was not a fan of this book personally.
It'd be cool if they could switch to the movie version. Gordon says, Roddy Barnes has an episode in his Run Fool podcast that features the Jersey Devil. Great podcast. Definitely give it a listen.
So I
I've
think
been
that's based
slipping.
on something, a real mythology. I think the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NBA Live Girl says the first time she saw Spider Punk was also in the movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'd never seen him before. Pete.
Frustrated says, what do y'all think about Marvel's huge jump to all these different multiverses now?
I have no issues with it.
Well,
the multiverse has always been a part of the Marvel universe.
And DC.
And I mean,
DC even more so than Marvel.
Right. But, I have no issues with it. For example, when you think of Captain Britain, going back to the 90s and Excalibur, we have seen different versions of Captain Britain because of the multiverse and what was her name? Saturn something?
Saturnine,
whatever her name is.
Saturnine.
So the concept of a multiverse has always been ingrained, at least for 30, 40 years, as part of Marvel Comics. So I take no issue with it personally. But when it comes to Spider-Punk, never heard of that dude before until I watched the animated movie in the theater, not bootleg, last year when it came out.
Kevin Grievous said something that an astute observation or postulation, I should say. And that he says, I really think a lot of this, and I'm summarizing, this isn't verbatim what he said, but it came across something along the lines of, he thinks part of the reason why we get all these different versions of previously existing characters is to maintain legally the IP. That's why you have a Black version or an Asian version or a woman version or a different sexual orientation version of these characters, because the more versions you have, the more, I guess, stronger your IP claim is. So the multiverse opens the door to allowing that to happen as well. At the same time, it's sort of recognizing that people like to see characters that sort of remind them of themselves. And, I'm a big Batman fan. So when you have a Batman that looks like me, it's intriguing, because as a little boy and you're dressing up for Halloween and you get one of those plastic costumes you bought at Kmart that have the face mask that's made out of plastic and makes your face sweat underneath the plastic, and your mom's looking at you saying, why are you wearing a white man's face? And she takes your mask and she cuts off the lower half of the mask with Batman's white face, and so that your face is exposed underneath it. It makes you realize not all these characters are done for you. It'd be cool to have a character that looks like you as a Halloween costume, but I digress. I'm venting childhood trauma. But I think that's part of the aspect of the multiverse that we have now, is them sort of using it as a tool to try to appeal to as many different sects as they can to push books. I think it's a great tool for that. Whether it can be used for good or bad, that's what it's being used for. Artist of cover A for Spider-Punk is the writer and artist of Afro Samurai, Takashi Okazaki.
Okay. Cool.
Azor B says, and they gave him the Killmonger side dread. There's been a lot of talk on the internet about this hairstyle. Well, damn it. That was a spoiler, Azor Beast. I can't talk about it now. Yeah, Jersey Devil is a real life. Is it the second time Azor Beast has done a spoiler on the show? Or was it frustrated the last time?
But so it was Pericles. Jersey Devil, being from the Midwest and having lived in the South, I'm not familiar with the myth of the Jersey Devil, and I'm not going to search it up right now. But if anybody wants to in the chat give us, a brief synopsis of what the Jersey Devil is, that would be cool. I'm not familiar with it at all.
Yeah.
So anyway,
NBA Live Girl says she was shocked when her dad told her about I Am Batman. Yeah, the Black Batman.
Who I'm not going to discuss who the writer on that was.
It wasn't a bad book for much of the run until towards the end.
Sure, great. And here's what's crazy. Shirley Chisholm is was a real life person. She was a real life Black woman who was a politician. There is a mini series, maybe a movie that's coming out on streaming with the great Regina King playing Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah.
The problem with it is that it was written and or directed by someone who I just cannot support. And it's really, really disappointing and it's killing me. But this particular person who wrote the last volume of Black Panther, I have no love and or respect for.
He wrote and directed the movie?
Wrote and or directed.
Oh wow.
He wrote and or directed.
You're causing me a moral conundrum because
Right.
I love Regina King.
I love Regina King.
I love the content on Shirley Chisholm being recognized.
Exactly. Like I really want to see it, but I just cannot, as a matter of principle, support that person or anything that he does. So
it's a principality. And I know some of you out there right now, you're looking at yourself, you're looking at the screen, you're going, man, them dudes are petty. Maybe.
For me, it's a matter of principle. Like I cannot support
principle and pettiness are on the same coin, bro.
I don't know. But for me, I just do not like what that dude has done. It's almost as if he is anti-Black, and I just cannot support.
Exactly.
Just
I know he does all these Black projects, but it's almost like a Black conservative Republican. And they're saying, hey, I'm Black too, support me. But it's not like
yeah, no, I just can't. And I love Shirley Chisholm. I love what she did for America, but and again, Regina King is phenomenal. But she should have been Oscar nominated for Best Director for One Night in Miami. I don't think she was. I can't support that project, and that particular person is behind it.
Yeah.
I can't.
So you're gonna watch it on bootleg then?
I'm not gonna watch it.
You can watch it on bootleg. It's not supporting it, but actually,
am not going to watch it.
Wow, your pettiness runs even deeper than mine.
Listen, based on that mindset, I could very well have watched Wakanda Forever on bootleg, but because I am adamantly opposed to what they did, I have not, will not, never see that movie ever. I'm a man of principle.
Runs extremely deep.
I am a man of principle. No. So this was the last book. So as far as we reviewed like 4 or 5 books this week. Let's see, 4 or 5 new books. So we've got Amazon Attacks, Conan the Barbarian, Harriet Tubman, and Spider-Punk. So that's 4 new books this week. My book of the week will be Conan. I really like this story. I really love the art. Conan the Barbarian is my book of the week. If you guys are not picking up this book, you're missing out. We're on issue 8 at this point. Highly
based on the strength of your recommendation, I went ahead and ordered the previous issues with the run that Doug Braithwaite started. I'm gonna try and get his entire run.
Yeah, it's good. I sent Paul a text earlier saying that probably either Conan or Harriet Tubman was going to be my book of the week, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the Harriet Tubman run. I just think personally this particular issue was less than the other issues, and Conan dropped a more solid issue this particular week. So Conan is my book of the week.
Now, you want to talk about what's coming out next week?
Absolutely.
All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to, where is it? All right, let's go back over here. Let's check out our new and upcoming books for next week. Wait, some people said some things in the chat here. You guys always wait until I go off screen and then you start this chatting things up. Frustrated says it's being talked about by everyone. I think I will watch it just for Regina King, and that's understandable.
I get it.
Regina
I
King
mean,
is
I
is
absolutely
a treasure.
understand. I get it.
Did you see that Starfire from the Titan show will be on a Wonder Woman cover?
No.
No, I did. What issue number is that, NBA Live girl? Because I would buy that just for that would be a cover buy for me.
Yeah. No, I had no idea.
That woman is a top 5 candidate to play Storm in the MCU.
Her name, the actress's name is Anna Diop.
Anna Diop. Anna Diop.
And she is beautiful. She's
She's
absolutely beautiful.
All right. So when you're going to look for, hey, what's the newest upcoming books for next week that I need to go tell my LCS to make sure they have on reserve for me? Go to the blackcomiclords.net website. Scroll on down and hit up best new and upcoming comics. It takes you right to our League of Comic Geek account. Let's head on over to next week. March 6th. What do we got? Antarctica number 9. Sci-fi book done by Image Comics.
Excuse me.
With a black lead character. That's the most I can tell you about that.
Wait, what? Where's the cover? I don't
right
see
here. Antarctica number 9.
Okay, on my screen, I don't see that.
Oh, shoot, I did it again. This same problem happened last time. Sorry. I forget when I hit the button, it does not switch over to the next page. Hold on. My bad. This is the second time it happened to me. There we go.
I've never heard of that before in my life.
Here's the cover I would recommend. This is by the great Afua Richardson. And many of you would know that name from various projects she's worked on. She's done a lot of stuff for Marvel. She did the covers for World of Wakanda, the comic book.
She owes me $10.
She owes you $10. Why does she owe you $10, Mark?
I ain't gonna get on that, but she owes me $10.
Everybody owes you $10.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough.
So that was issue 9?
Issue 9. Yeah, it's been around for a while.
I've never seen that book before in my life.
Well, you need to pay attention to our website more, Mark. Obviously, you're not going to the website like I tell you every single week when you ask me, what's the dope books to go buy, man?
A, I don't ask you that, but B, I got other things going on. So yeah, that's one of the important reasons why we do this right here, so people can know what would be good to pick up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Avengers number 11. This is the return of Jarvis to the Avengers. I dig this cover. Don't ask me why. I dig this cover. Who's the cover artist on this?
So why is this?
Oh, he's a great artist.
So what's the black connection to this particular issue?
Well, you've got 2 black Avengers in it. T'Challa and Cap Falcon, Sam Wilson.
So that's the only reason?
The only reason.
And I'm not trying to be funny yet. Let me just say this. I am an Avengers reader. I'm an Avengers collector. I have always been an Avengers reader and collector. That's not going to change ever.
How many times have you seen 2 black Avengers on the Avenger Squad?
Well, this run.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. Back in the 90s, you had Monica Rambeau, you had Iron Man James Rhodes. So it has happened.
They were not on the same Avengers Squad at the same time.
They were on the same Avengers Squad.
They were not on the same Avengers Squad.
They were
on Secret Wars together.
Right. So
and James Rhodes was on the West Coast Avengers.
They were in Marvel Secret Wars as Avengers as a unit. So they were. So that was 1984.
If you want to interpret that as
that was the Avengers team. They were. But that being said, I'm going to always pick up Avengers, but I would not consider that specific cover a black-centric book. I'm personally going to pick it up, but, it doesn't necessarily fit into what we do.
Right. Sure. Whatever. All right. So here's the Shuri cover. Stormbreaker's cover. And here's the cover with Sam Wilson fighting against vampires.
Was there a Dane Whitman cover? Was that
Who?
something? Dane Whitman, aka the Black Knight? Right there, yeah.
So you went through this whole thing about how you don't view this as a black book, but you want to focus on Dane Whitman.
That is correct, because I didn't know what that was. Absolutely. Yes, I said that.
You are a weird dude on so many
Whatever.
levels. All right. Let's move on to the next one. What else we got going on? Capable by Advent Comics. I think there was a even better cover than this one. This one right here. Capable number 3. About a disabled, differently abled person who has powers.
What company is that?
Advent Comics. Advent Comics.
Not familiar with this at all.
Shout out to Advent Comics. Shout out to Tony Cottrell. Major revelation this week on their Elysium, not Elysium. What's the word? Oh wow. Why am I having a brain fart right now? Epiphany project. And then we have give me a sec. Switching over. One that I'm kind of looking forward to. Mark, you might find this one interesting too. Newest issue of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, number 13. I know you like Doctor Strange.
Yep. I collect that book already anyway, so yeah.
So
is that Taskmaster?
It is. Taskmaster, Black Cat, and my man, Hunter's Moon.
I'm not familiar with that character at all.
You don't know? You don't know Hunter's Moon from Moon Knight?
I don't read Moon Knight.
He is the Black Moon Knight.
Yeah, no, I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah. Made his debut in the latest Jed McKay run on Moon Knight. Yeha Badur. He is a doctor who is also a Moon Knight. A Fist of Khonshu, I should say.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
So I'll be getting that anyway. That looks like an Alex Ross cover.
Yeah. This is the first time I've seen Hunter's Moon outside of a Moon Knight comic. That's significant because that means they're trying to spread his wings into other comics. That's cool.
Yeah, right.
He's not a one-off character that's only going to be in the Moon Knight comic. Making him a Doctor Strange character is a good way to branch him out. So that I dig that because he's a dope character.
I've liked this Doctor Strange run. Doctor Strange died, but as they always do, they come back. Everybody except Bill Foster. But don't get me started on that.
Who? Man, that's a
yeah.
Marvel still hasn't rectified that. That's incredible.
The one that I'm looking forward to, the only one that I know about because it was in one of the books that I read this week, is there's a new Suicide Squad book that's coming out. And whenever you say Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller is synonymous with the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller is a bureaucrat who happens to be a Black woman who typically runs the Suicide Squad on behalf of the American government, where you have, basically criminals performing tasks on behalf of the U.S. government that you were not going to normally send a government agent to do because they are expendable. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I missed a couple of comments here in the chat. NBA Live Girl answered our question about the Wonder Woman Anna Diop cover. It's Wonder Woman number 7. So
I'll be getting it.
After I'm done with the show, I'm going to work on my pre-orders for the next few months. Pericles says Anna Diop is also a common fan cast for Storm. Yes, she is.
She is.
Gordon Mahan says Anna Diop is
fire. She is. She absolutely is.
Indeed. Bison for Life. The book is decent. I dropped it after 3 issues.
Which one? Wonder Woman, Conan?
I think he's referring to Antarctica.
Oh.
Antarctica was supposed to only be 5 issues, and they expanded it to 10 issues. So it was selling well. The power of purchasing comics is your stories will continue. Afua is one of my favorites. Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. So next issue. We have upcoming. Kaya's coming out. Which I don't know anything about the book, but it's got a little weird black girl in it. King Spawn. That's coming out. The Century.
Spawn,
Have you read? What?
hold on a second. Spawn is the longest running continuous black superhero character ever. So mad shout out to Spawn, to Todd McFarlane for creating that character.
Issue 350 just dropped. of
Yeah.
Spawn.
No other black comic book has that many continuous issues. Nobody.
Ever.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yes, I have been reading The Century. Yes.
Not a bad book. Not a bad concept.
It's okay. I heard, and I don't know if this has been confirmed or if it's true or not, but for live action, they're allegedly supposed to be doing some version of that. So for those who don't know, the Sentry was a character by the name, his real name was Bob Reynolds. Bob had the powers of a billion burning suns within his body. He was the Marvel's Superman, basically.
For all intents and
Almost,
purposes.
there have been several Marvel Supermen. You have the Sentry, you've had Hyperion, you've had Blue Marvel, you've had the Guardian. There have been several, but I think people recognize the Sentry as the closest version of Superman in Marvel Comics. Live action, they were going to have Stephen Yeun play that role, and I was adamantly opposed to that. Love Stephen Yeun, aka Glenn from The Walking Dead, or the character from Beef, and I think he won a SAG and an Emmy for that portrayal.
And the guy who does the voice in Invincible.
Correct, yes. But Bob Reynolds is a white neurotic guy. That ain't Stephen Yeun. But from what I read recently, that there's in the Century book, which is issue 4 that's dropped, the power of the Century who was killed, and I don't remember how or why, but his power has been spread out to several different individuals. And there's one particular guy who knows that the power of Century has been spread out, but he wants it all for himself. This is not a spoiler because this has been going on since issue 1. But this particular guy is going around finding the other people who have the power of the Century, has been killing them off so their power can be absorbed by himself.
Just like that character from the show Heroes.
I didn't watch Heroes.
You never watched it? Jeez, man.
Yeah, I never watched Heroes. So imagine the Planeteers, Captain Planet. And there were 5 or 6 individuals with the power ring who could form Captain Planet. Imagine Kwame, who had the power of Earth, going around killing all the other individuals so he could alone have the power to create Captain Planet. That's basically the equivalent of what this particular character is doing. One of the characters who's still around is a black female who suffers from Parkinson's, or she has some, or MS. She has some debilitating anomaly. She has some debilitating issue with her body that she can't, use it the way that she would normally would, or the way that she would want. But because she has this power of Century, she's able to do things that she normally wouldn't. So she's going to be facing off against this dude who happens to be a white character who's going around killing other people so he could have all the power of the Century for himself. And Misty Knight makes an appearance in this book along with Jessica Cage, I want to say. So yeah, but I'm enjoying the book. It's not great, but I am enjoying it.
I'm trying to find this Wonder Woman cover they're talking about. I think she actually meant, is it issue 47, not 7 of Wonder Woman? Because issue 7.
Well, let's see. When it comes to Wonder Woman, again, I have been collecting Wonder Woman recently.
And Nubia is in issue 47.
We're on volumes. Oh, here's the thing. We're on volume 6 of Wonder Woman, right? That's the one that just dropped this week. So the very next issue of Wonder Woman will be issue 7.
I'm trying to understand how that is. All right, so I must have the wrong volume then. Hold
Yeah.
on.
So volume 6 of Wonder Woman.
Searching. You have me intrigued now, NBA Live Girl. I've got to find this. I hate when I can't find something.
And if it is a variant cover, I most definitely will be requesting from my LCS, which stands for local comic book store. I will be requesting them to pick that up.
I think I found it. Issue 7, which is the one with Nubia on it. Is it this one?
Why don't you share it so we can see?
Is it the Women's History Month one?
Do you have it there in front of you?
I'm trying to find it. All right, hold on a second. I'm going to share the screen here. Is this the issue that you are referring to?
Not a huge fan of that, but okay.
Of the art style, right?
Yeah, no. So
it is interesting to see several women of color on the cover.
Yeah, we've got Hawk Girl, Nubia, Starfire, Donna Troy, Vixen, it looks like.
Yeah, Vixen and Jessica Cruz, Starfire, and Nubia.
So who's on the left with the Green Lantern? Who's that underneath the Green Lantern?
That's I don't know who that is. It looks like She-Ra.
Yeah,
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah. Yeah, not a fan of that at all. But that's clearly not Retina. Oh.
She said it was issue 7.
Troy, Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's like one. Yeah, that's all the covers.
That it? Who's that? That red one.
That's Wonder Woman.
No, but click on it. Yeah. Oh, okay. From when it was small, it almost reminded me of Rihanna, but okay. I don't see anything that would look like Retina Wesley or for issue 7.
Not for issue 7, I don't.
Yeah. What's in the chat? What are people saying in the chat? Maybe she answered.
Oh, she says it's a variant.
I mean,
just looked it up on Comic Geeks. Oh, she says that's the cover. That's the white one she was talking about.
Oh, okay. I mean,
with regard to Sentry, Azor B says he got killed by Null. Null absorbed the void from him, and then did him like Sentry did Ares.
So, for those who don't know, and a lot of people don't, Ares is the Olympian god of war, aka Mars in Roman mythology. Sentry, who is immortal, fought Ares. Ares, I want to say, may have been part of the Thunderbolts or something, and he went up against Sentry. Sentry, who is a mortal, literally tore Ares in half. Like, grabbed him. I think he did it vertically. Like, grabbed him by his head and split him in twain lengthwise, not from his upper to lower torso. But anyway, he killed him pretty gruesomely. So, yeah, I didn't read. No, that was the King in Black storyline. I did not read that. Other than the Black Panther version. So, yeah.
NBA Live Girl, that version of Starfire, is that her first cover appearance?
Ever? No.
When she's saying version of Starfire,
Because that looked like the regular Starfire to me. That does not appear to be the Anna Diop one.
Maybe she's referring to the fact of her hair being braided.
I mean, it was. I'm not sure.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
All right.
So those were our future reads for next week. Paul didn't bring it up, but as I said, the Suicide Squad should be coming out in March. I don't know exactly when. Amanda Waller is in charge of the Suicide Squad, so
I actually didn't finish all the reads of the week. Let me run through them real quick so we can move on to the next subject. So we left off with the Sentry. Here's your book, Space Negro, The Last Negro, #2.
I've never seen that before in my life.
Homeboys in outer space, basically. Miles Morales and Peter Parker have a joint book ongoing series called The Spectacular Spider-Men.
Not familiar with that at all.
Bit of a money grab, honestly. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is written by Cody Ziegler. No, Greg Weisman. Where do I know that name?
I know he owes me
Greg
$10.
Weisman. Wasn't he the co-creator of Underworld with Kevin Grievous?
Don't give me a line.
Writer, producer, and voice actor.
Let's see.
Best known as the creator of the animated series Gargoyles.
Wow.
The Spectacular Spider-Man and Young Justice.
Got you.
I knew that name from somewhere.
He looks real. Well, to me, he looks real young to have created Gargoyles, which came out.
Maybe it's an old picture.
Yeah.
But here's all the covers. Looks like there's a storyline involving the Jackal. Money grab. I'll just read Miles Morales if you want Miles Morales.
So there's a Greg Weisman on IMDb, which is one of my favorite apps.
I'm thinking Len Wiseman's the one from Underworld with Kevin Grievous.
Greg Weisman was a producer on Young Justice, which was phenomenal. Star Wars Rebels, The Spectacular Spider-Man, Max Steel, which I liked, and Gargoyles. Yeah. Wow.
And for those who Star Wars fans, Star Wars: The High Republic has a hell of a lot of black people in it. Well, the leads are, I should say. Keeve Trennis and this other dude whose name always escapes me. I can't remember this guy's name. It's a weird name. What's this guy's name? They don't even have him listed. I guess he's only on the cover.
Bob.
We'll just call him Bob.
Yep, Bob.
All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will come back with what we're watching. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's go.
Hello. Tim Fielder here, author of Maddie's Rocket, Infinitum and Afrofuturist Tale, and the graphic history of hip hop. I'm a visual Afrofuturist and graphic novelist. Buy my books. Go to Diesel Funk, at Diesel Funk on all social media handles. I need you to buy my books. Thank you, Black Comic Lords. Peace.
I left my Method Man book. Oh, that's gonna get signed by Meth. Wow.
I got 3 hip hops in the bag.
I might need to buy one off of you. Yo, Jugo Otis.
What?
What?
What is going on?
Nigga, what? Every record right on. Hey, yo.
up?
Hey, Miss O.
How are you?
What's good?
This is unexpected.
Let's go, man. Let's go. And we record this perfect what we do, man.
How you doing?
What's up, boy?
What's going on?
Love to see those fellas together, man. Most genuine dudes you'll ever meet. So what did you watch this week?
Before we get into that, and this has to do with TV, it's something that I just discovered yesterday at like 4:00 that I was sad about. For those of us of a certain age, A Different World, which was in the Cosby universe, was a landmark TV series because prior to
Indeed.
that, there was not a show that centered on HBCU life. Paul went to a liberal arts college in Florida, which was not an HBCU. That's not a knock, just a fact. I went to Morehouse College. Part of the reason why I went to Morehouse was because of A Different World. A Different World was based at the fictional Hillman College, but for some of the establishing shots was here in the AUC, aka Atlanta University Center, that was comprised of Morehouse, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, and Morris Brown. Those four colleges plus the theological college combined, they are the Atlanta University Center. There are 4 or 5 separate entities combined that make the AUC. Black excellence at its finest. When you watch back in
I
the
would
80s,
disagree, but continue.
back in the 80s, early 90s, when you watched A Different World and they would show outside scenes that were clearly not a studio before they would go into the studio performances, one of the main shots was at Spelman. What I did not know until yesterday, Thursday, March 29th, at approximately 3 p.m. Eastern Standard, is that the cast of A Different World, were going on a tour to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of the show's debut. Had no idea. They had a town hall, I guess, at Clark Atlanta. And I did not know that. And I was so very upset because had I known before, I would have purchased tickets and I would have been down there. Jasmine Guy, aka Whitley Gilbert, her father was a professor at Morehouse when I was there, and I had him for religion. Several of the characters, Dwayne Wayne, Ron Bell, who was in Alpha, they were in one of my favorite movies, School Days. Those shows in the late 80s, early 90s helped guide a whole generation to go seek education, not at PWIs, predominantly white institutions, but at HBCUs. I saw a news clip about college enrollment in HBCUs, and they were saying that HBCUs attendance increased between, say, 1978 and 1995 by 25%. But the largest increase of attendance at HBCUs was during the time that A Different World was on air. And I say all that to say they were here in Atlanta yesterday, and I missed them, and I'm sorry. But Google A Different World 30-year anniversary. They may be coming to an HBCU near you. What is that?
That's them.
Ricky Smiley for real.
That's the cast at a reunion. This is a special show. It is literally one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
And I really mean that. I mean, I think it's up there probably in my top 10 television shows of all time.
Yeah.
Mark mentioned I went to a predominantly white institution, the PWI. I would actually define it more as a PRWI, predominantly really white institution. The education was very good at my school. I mean, it's one of the highest ranked schools in the Southeast, but socially, not as many black students. And those of us were there. I remember every Thursday night we'd go to one of the dorms and to the TV lounge, the joint sort of TV lounge that we'd all gather around on Thursday nights
and
to watch A Different World.
Right.
I made a post of this picture right here. I said, I went to college with these people.
Not physically, but spiritually. Yep.
Spiritually,
Absolutely.
because this show was on while I was in college.
Yep. Yep.
And we were living the college experience with them.
Yeah.
As this show was on.
Yeah.
Although we weren't at an HBCU, we were Black students at a college, and we were together because you know we ain't had no choice.
There was 5 of y'all. Yep.
5 of us, yeah. And we you know we should. I almost feel like this cast and this show these were like my classmates in many respects.
Yeah.
In many respects. This was a phenomenal show. It doesn't get nearly enough credit for the topics that it dealt with, the representation that it did, the positive Black representation, the history lessons they used to do on the show, or you know, the Cosby Show for that matter did the same thing, which this was a spinoff. I mean, we don't get that type of good quality television that much anymore.
Nope. Nowadays, you know, with all due respect to you youngsters, all of you guys who are under 35, what we have now is trash. And by that, I mean the reality shows, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills who used to play basketball or whatever the fuck. It's just trash that's out there now. This was important television because it formulated how we were viewed. And when I say we, I mean those of us who are Black individuals. And we weren't living in the ghetto. We weren't, living in a junkyard. We were very smart, very intelligent individuals who happened to go to a college that was Black.
And they also showed students that actually were from different aspects of the Black experience. The inner city, the country, the rich girl,
the snooty,
the hippie girl.
Yep. Absolutely. And everyone had different ideas of what they wanted to do. Right. So from left to right, looking at your screen from the bottom, you have Jasmine Guy. As I said, I had her father for religion at Morehouse College. Next to her is Kadeem Hardison. Both Jasmine and Kadeem were in School Days. Next to Kadeem is Ron Bell. Ron Bell is an alpha. He also was in School Days. The three of them were all in School Days together, which came out around the same time. That formulated a lot of us around that time to go to HBCUs. Next to Ron is, she played Jaleesa.
Dawn Lewis.
Dawn Lewis. Dawn Lewis, I want to say she sings and or dances, but she does the voice of the captain in Lower Decks, going up to the top. Somebody who we don't see enough, the young lady who played Kim, and I cannot remember her name, but she was my crush. Out of all the fine women on that show, I marked like a thick chocolate sister. She was my girl. I loved her, right? Next to her in the middle with the big Indian hat on is Cree Summers. Cree Summers is a voice actor legend.
Yeah.
When there is a pantheon of voice actors, if you don't have Cree Summers on your list,
it's not a
you're
real
not
list.
doing things right? Yeah. Next to her is Glenn Thurman with the cowboy hat on. Glenn Thurman, a lot of people don't know, back in the 70s, was married to Aretha Franklin.
I did not know that.
Now you know. He was married to Aretha Franklin back around 72, 73. Whenever those dates could very well be wrong, but he was married to Aretha Franklin. He was in something recently that I just saw, and I cannot think of it. And I'll look it up here in a minute. But he is still a working actor.
Yeah.
In the show, Glenn Thurman with the cowboy hat next to Cree
Summers. He most recently was in the Disney show Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
That's what it was. Yes, that's where I just saw him. Yes, absolutely. Yes. because he played
The
not a
professor.
minotaur, but a what are the horse people?
Centaur.
Centaur. He played a centaur. That's where I saw him. Yes. So in the show, he was married to Dawn Lewis's character, which was an odd union, but
Yeah, it was a little weird.
whatever. But that's who those people are. They are very important to me and my so-called upbringing. And I just wish that I knew that they were having that show, their appearance here yesterday, because I definitely would have been there. Very, very important show. Seminal show. Absolutely. So if you can find, if they're coming to your area, go see them. That's what I'll say. Go see them.
God, if this show is on television, I will just sit down and watch it.
Yeah,
If I'm flipping through channels, I love this show. I never get tired of watching the reruns of this show. Never.
Yeah. For a lot of people, before she got known for embarrassing her husband and sleeping with her son's friends, that's how a lot of people knew who Jada Pinkett Smith was, because that's where she, I want to say, made her appearance, her first appearance.
In fact, she brought her boy Tupac on the show for an episode. He played the character of Piccolo.
Yep.
Who was actually a recurring character on the show.
What's the something Lewis? The actress's name, who was on Blackish, who was the mother, Jennifer Lewis, not Jennifer Lewis, that's not her. Somebody in the chat help me out, but I have to look it up now because it's gonna kill me if I don't know it.
Was Jennifer Lewis on the show?
Is her name Jennifer Lewis?
The woman from Blackish is Jennifer Lewis. I'm trying to remember if she was on A Different World.
No, she was. She was. But her name is Jennifer Lewis, because there's another Lewis who was in Cape Fear, and I thought her name was Jennifer Lewis. Not that there can't be more than one.
Bo Big says Jennifer Lewis.
Jennifer.
Okay, Don Lewis has Guyanese roots.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think she owes me $10. But Jennifer Lewis was on this show, and she seemed so old. She was like 35. She had seemed old forever.
She's always seemed like a mature woman. Right. Pericles Dragon Balls. Fun fact: Glenn Turman was up for Han Solo in the original Star Wars.
That I did not know.
That would have changed Star Wars forever. That would have been cool.
So Jennifer Lewis was born in 1957.
Really? She's that old?
Yeah. She was born in 1957. So this show came out. When did it debut? Let's see. I'll tell you.
Bo Big said she was like a dean of students or something.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Hold on. A Different World. Hold on. So the show premiered in 1987. So if she was born in 57, this chick was 30 when this show came out, right?
She didn't look 30.
To me, 30 is, at this side of 50, 30 is like a child. I have shirts older than 30. And she seems so very, shut up. She seems so very old in that show, but she was a child. But yeah, Jennifer Lewis was something. Yes, indeed. But it's a great show. If you have not seen it, Oscar winner Marissa Tomei was in the first season. It's interesting. The very first season that this show dropped in 87
it's a very different show.
A completely different show than what it ended up being, because
they brought in Debbie Allen to redo the show.
This was a vehicle for Lisa Bonet. Yeah. Lisa Bonet. But the problem was she ended up getting pregnant by Lenny Kravitz. And I don't think
it wasn't just that. It was also the fact she did the Angel Heart movie.
That Angel Heart movie with Robert De Niro. So she was no longer viewed as this squeaky clean, wholesome chick. She was this harlot and hussy. So they shuttled her back to the Cosby Show and reconfigured the series A Different World, getting away from the Denise character to all the supporting characters. And it was a brilliant, brilliant show. And one of the most memorable scenes from that show was the wedding episode.
Oh, damn. I knew you were going to say that because I was about to say the same thing.
And, you know, while I'm talking, if you could possibly bring, I don't know if this would demonetize us or
I can't do it. Can't do it. The Black Comic Lords will kill me.
well,
But yeah, man. Please, baby. Please.
yeah. And I heard that was an ad lib because he kind of forgot his line. So Jasmine Guy's character Whitley was about to marry this dude who was politically connected or whatever. She was about to have the life that she wanted to have as being, you know,
a senator.
Woman, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was a senator or running for senator, whatever. But, you know, her and Dwayne Wayne had been having this will they, won't they relationship forever. Dwayne Wade, you know, crashed the wedding, you know, baby, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And she leaves this dude at the altar, which is why he went crazy and ended up having Kerry Washington as his daughter and was the head of whatever that organization was on Scandal. See, he got his heart broke by a light-skinned chick, and that's why he went crazy. So brothers out there, don't get your heart by a light-skinned chick because that's what will happen to you. Love this show. Absolutely love this show.
Yeah,
Great
man. That was some television. I remember
it really
yelling
was.
at the screen when that happened, man. That scene.
Yeah. Please, baby, please. Oh,
please, baby, please.
Yeah. And the other scene that I remember, he was like, look, I love you, and, you know, I don't like this arguing. You know, we got to work this out. Come on. And so he walks away, and she's still sitting there, and he snaps her finger, and she jumps. And I've seen that scene on the Twitters, and women nowadays, you know, discussing it, blah, 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 but they like that shit. Yeah.
Talking about he created his Skynet. He's talking about Morton.
He was.
The actor. The guy who played the senator.
Joe
Morton.
Yes, he was. Good show. But what are we watching? Paul, it dropped this week. It's a show on Disney Plus.
Lord have mercy.
Six episodes. Episodes 1 and 2, in all fairness, were not that good to me. But after episode 3 and on were great.
I've only had a chance to watch one episode, but I was hooked from episode 1.
I was not. I was gonna watch it no matter what, but episode 1, episode 2 bored me to tears. But
the fact that you tell me it gets better, episode 3 makes me even more excited to watch the show.
This is a spoiler-free review. If you're watching this and you are in the chat, do not talk about the show specifics. Okay. Other than this, Waju, which means the future, I looked that up. It supposedly means the future, right?
I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome.
That actually makes sense on the point that I was going to make about the show.
It's, you know, we have mentioned in this space before, and I want to say the first time I heard the phrase Afrofuturism was in fact from Paul, but this show is about Afrofuturism. The show is based in Nigeria, where specifically Nigerians have all these technological advancements, but they are divided by class, where mainland Nigeria is just, you know, even though they have access to certain things, they're not living up here in the penthouse, right? They're down here. But there is an island. If you are familiar with the Miami area, right? You leave from mainland Miami going towards South Beach, there is Fisher Island and Star Island. Star Island. Basically, Star Island is where all the rich people live, okay? Have that in mind, where you have an area that is, I'm not going to say it's segregated, but it is separate from the mainland. And the island folks are individuals who have moved on up like George and Wheezy. This young lady who you see there, and I can't remember the character's name. Toke, what's her name?
I don't remember her name.
Okay, I'm bad with names. But long story short, the young lady that you see in front, she is the daughter of an engineer and inventor. He grew up in the slums, but because of his intellect, he got a job at this particular company called Greenwood Technology. And in my mind, I'm wondering if Greenwood technology is based on Black Wall Street, as Paul learned last week, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, which was some of the main streets during Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm from. So I just wonder that. But her father grew up in the slums. He was very bright, moved on up like George and Wheezy. So she has been raised her entire life of 10 years in luxury. But because she was raised in luxury, a lot of times what you find are individuals who have had all the benefits of life wanting to see the other side of things. You know, as an example that we've seen in social media recently is T.I. and Tiny's son, that little weird looking light skinned dude, right? He's been rich. His family has been rich his entire life. He's not known financial struggle at any point in his life, but he always wants to make it seem, it appears that he's from the hood or has come up in hard times. That's kind of the way that she is. She wants to see where her father is from. Well, in this world, there has been a lot of kidnappings, and her father wants to do everything that he can to protect her. Every episode is a name of one of the characters in the show. So her name is Tola, right? Her father's name is Tunde, and it's just it is so very good. The main bad guy is a dude by the name of Bode. He's the guy that you see in front of the arrival sign, the very, very large gentleman. It's just a fun show. Now, I will say this. If you have not seen My Dad, the Bounty Hunter on Netflix, there have been 2 seasons. I liked My Dad, the Bounty Hunter more from the outset because there was more action. But Awaju, it is after episode 3 going forward, it's a good show. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give this series a solid 8, maybe an 8.5, but definitely a solid 8. We got to watch it's Tola. We've got to support these things that are about us because it's clearly when you look at the names when it comes to the credits, everybody's name is Nigerian or African. The voices are clearly African. This is a Black show. It is a Black futurism show. Love the character designs. One of the characters is a Black female who is reading the book in the green. The way that she is illustrated, that sister is fine. It's just, this is a very, very well done show.
Disney apparently made a deal, a partnership with this company. What's it called? Kugali. Think of it as like a Nigerian Pixar. From our show that we had earlier this week, someone said that Kugali actually started off in comics and they've expanded into animation and partnered with Disney to do these Nigerian or Afrofuturism shows. This isn't the first project that they've done. There was another Disney show called, somebody help me with that.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I did not finish it because they were like, the scene that I remember, they were like farming or something. They were out in the field with some cattle type things. I think I know what you're talking about.
And they're like cattle police or something like that.
Yeah. I didn't finish that one. I know what you're talking about, but I need to go back.
Damn it. It's bothering me. I gotta look it up.
Yeah. If you're in the chat and you know what we're talking about, please mention it. But that aside, Awaju, I do recommend this show. The young man behind Tola,
Kizazi Moto.
Yeah, I didn't finish that. But the young lady, the dude behind Tola, the dude behind Tola is somebody who works for her father, who is around her age and who is a friend of hers. But because he's grown up on the wrong side of the tracks where the dad is from, he's not necessarily a fan of his because initially the boy reminds the dad of where he came from. And a lot of times when you have moved on up, you don't necessarily want to be reminded of where you came from. But it's a show about class. It's about, relationships between father and children. It's a good show. It is a really, really, really good show. And so I definitely recommend Aju. If you can get past episodes 1 and 2, the action definitely picks up in 3 going forward. It is definitely worth the watch.
Chillmonger points out, it was Kazazi Moto,
Yeah.
Generation Fire.
Yeah,
and he's laughing at you about your sister is fine comment.
I mean, she is.
The deal Kajaji Media made with Disney is unprecedented. It really is. I was shocked to see the deal made. I'm shocked to see Disney make this type of investment because it's a risk for them, But shout out to Disney, man. I mean, for putting this on.
And it's up to us to support it. It's
hold on. One of the things that Mark said, I think it was last week, is a really good practice. Like, even if you don't dig this stuff, the concept of it being out is important enough that you should, if you have a Disney Plus subscription, let it play in the background. Set your television to automatically play episodes one after another, and let it play in the background. Let it play on your tablet or your phone, and so Disney gets those hits so that they can register that people are watching the show.
Yeah.
At the very least, we've got to support it so that we can get more Black content like this, quality content on television for children, by the way, for families.
Quality content that's not drug dealing, that is not reality TV, watching us in our lowest state, fighting each other, talking
or giving Black trauma porn yet again.
Right. This is something that's definitely worth watching. It is absolutely family friendly. So highly recommend this show.
I watched this first episode with my daughter. We watched back to back this one and another episode of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. That's like the most precious thing to me, man. To just sit on the couch with my daughter watching geeky television together that we can both dig. That's important stuff, man. That's stuff I did with my father, where I got to watch Battlestar Galactica on a Sunday night on ABC. And just vibing out with my dad or watching that or Star Trek or something like that. Kung Fu Theater. I don't know. Maybe those times aren't as prevalent these days, but I still think it's important.
Yeah. So this is one that should be watched. And speaking of Kung Fu Theater, the only other show, well, not the only other show, but the other show that I wanted to discuss is Shogun, that came out this week on Hulu and FX. It is based on a book that came out in the 70s. There was a miniseries that came out in 1980 of the same name that
wasn't it the dude who played in that movie, that show? Which
I was getting to, which his name was Richard Chamberlain.
Chamberlain.
Back in the day, Richard Chamberlain was that dude, right? He was the king of the miniseries. There was another miniseries that he was in that set all kinds of records called
The Thornbirds. The
Thornbirds. Back in 76, maybe 77, Roots was the most watched miniseries. In 1980, Shogun became the second most watched TV miniseries. That's how important it was. It's based on a real life situation where a real life dude, an English dude, got shipwrecked over in Japan. Now, I have not seen the Shogun from the 80s since it dropped 44 years ago. So I
don't think I've watched it since then.
Right. So I can't tell you anything about it, but but I'm gonna guess that it was based on the white character. Not say based, but it was from the white character's point of view. This show is different because it is from the Japanese point of view. Even though that real life white dude is in it, he's not the focus, right? He is an ancillary character to the actual Japanese people. The guy who plays the main guy, and I'm gonna look his name up, and you may know it before I do, but you may recognize him from The Last Samurai. He was also
John Wick.
yes, he was in he was in John Wick 4.
He's been in a bunch of stuff.
He was in the MCU as one of the last people that
Technically, I believe he was playing the Silver Samurai, is what I believe I read somewhere.
Okay.
Where he played the gangster that Hawkeye killed.
Right. His name is Hiroyuki Sanada. Okay. I don't know if you can, and I know this is last minute, but I don't know if you can pull his picture up. But Hiroyuki Sanada.
Well, that's his picture on the screen.
Yeah. But you can't really see what his face looks like. But he is the main star of the show. He is part of a 5-person council who rules these areas of Japan because their lord died. Their lord, who was the main guy, wanted to give Sanada's character the whole role, but he didn't want it. So he then spread it out between these other 5 guys. And there was a whole lot of political intrigue because 4 of the guys are jealous of Sanada because he has a very important name. He is descended from some very important characters. So look at it like this. If you have watched Game of Thrones, right? Imagine Ned Stark being descendant from former rulers of Westeros. But instead of the king giving Ned Stark the role of commander of, or the ruler of all these nations, he divided it up between the Starks, the Lannisters, the Tullys, etc., etc. But all of these people are now lining up against Stark to try to take over. That young lady right there, who is beautiful, if you saw the series Monarch, she was in Monarch. She played the daughter of this guy who was yes, she played the daughter of the guy who was the son of the folks who started Monarch. In this series, the guy who played her father,
she was the American girl who came back to find her father.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. She's the one who was from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Her father in Monarch plays the main rival to Mr. Sanada in this show. So both of those actors from Monarch are in this. But she's very beautiful. But she plays the daughter-in-law. No. She is the daughter of the general of Mr. Sanada's character, whose name is Tornaga.
This is the Mr. Sanada character?
Yes. The character's name
I had heard that this actor in particular insisted that for him to be included in the role,
there has to be Japanese actors in the role. Absolutely.
Not just Japanese actors in the role. He wanted it to be an authentically Japanese, he wanted Japanese culture to be authentically represented.
Absolutely. So that guy's name that you're seeing on the screen, his real name is Hiroyuki Sanada, and I may be pronouncing that wrong. His character name is Yoshi Toranaga. The girl who you saw before, she is the daughter-in-law of Toranaga's main general. Her, yeah. So that's their connection. And she's important to Toranaga because in Japan, Europeans have, gotten their claws into the Japanese through their religion. And it was specifically the Portuguese who have come over there who have come over there to Japan and infested them with Christianity. And she has adopted Christianity as her faith. And so she has learned from her what do you call those people? God, God, what do you call them? Missionaries. She has learned Portuguese from the missionaries. So she acts as an interpreter for Lord Toranaga when she's talking to this dude who is John Blackthorne, who is the English ship English pilot, basically, who's the English, navigator on a boat who has crashed in England. So it's very good. It's a very, very, very good show.
So she speaks
This
Portuguese and English.
No, she speaks Portuguese and Japanese, right?
So
But
how does
go
she
back.
communicate with the English dude?
Okay, because even though to our ears he's speaking English, on the show they're speaking Portuguese.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
he's an Englishman who can speak Portuguese.
Correct. Go
Gotcha.
back to his picture, if you would. So there is a scene that is absolutely hilarious. So he has been brought to the castle where Lord Toranaga is, right? And so the lady who you just saw, she comes to him and says, okay, she's telling him all this stuff. And then there are about 2 or 3 other Japanese women in there. And, and the lady tells him, okay, so these women are going to help you take a bath. And he was like, wait, I already had a bath. And she was like, in the prison? Because before he was brought to the castle, he was imprisoned, right? So his ship crashed. He was in this one particular village. They bathed him in the village. Then he was transported from the village to where they are now in a different city. And while he was in the city, he was taken to the prison. So it's been about a week. So we're talking crash on Monday, bath on Tuesday, in the new city on Thursday, meeting the Lord Toranaga on Saturday, right? So she goes to him on Saturday and like, hey, these women are about to give you a bath. He was like, well, I already had a bath. She was like, at the prison? He was like, no, at the village. And she's thinking, well, that's some time ago. He was like, wait, but what do you want me to catch the flux? So she was like, damn, your ass stank. That's been some days ago. And I couldn't help but laugh. And it's funny to me how Europeans have thought of other cultures as savages, because they don't look like them. But they're the ones who had to be taught how to wash their ass, how to use soap, and things of that nature. And it's a very, very, very good show. So this is the other show that I'm watching. It is on Hulu Plus. It's an FX show. Highly recommend. This show gets a 10 out of 10 from me.
Wow.
Yes.
That high.
It is a great show. That guy right there, okay, that kid, he is the son of the Lord who died. And so
Daimyo.
I'm sorry.
The daimyo.
Okay, sure. And so Lord Tanaga was tasked to protect this boy because the other lords have ambitions to be in charge. And in order to be in charge, they had to get rid of that boy and Lord Tanaga, who's got the very important name. Great show. That guy right there, okay, so that's Blackthorn, the white dude. The dude behind him, that's Hogan the Grim from Thor.
Yes.
Yep.
He pretty much looks the same way he did in Thor too.
Yep. That's him right there. That's him. This is a spectacular show. It is subtitled a lot, but look, that's the dude from Monarch.
Yeah.
That's Lord Tanaga's main rival. He is a complete and utter asshole who is ambitious, and he's the one who wants to be in charge of Japan. So he's conspiring against Lord Toranaga. It's the political it's I cannot say enough American words to show you how good this show is. It is really, really good. That's one of the missionaries who's, he's an honest man, but he's a European, and they're not interested in God. They're interested in money.
Mm-hmm. Conquering.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of familiar faces in this show. He's not one of them, but the dude who played the mayor in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, he's in it.
I remember this actor from Stargate Universe, actually.
I don't know him. Yeah.
Oh, he looks dirty.
Okay, so the dude. Oh, go back. The dude right there with the beard and stuff. You would recognize him from Clearing Present Danger with Harrison Ford. He was the quote unquote Latin Jack Ryan. I don't remember the actor's name. I can't think of anything else that he's been in. I can look it up here in a second, but that's the main thing that I know him from. And those are some of the other council members who are in charge, who are going up against Lord Toranaga.
Some dope costumes.
Listen, yeah, they really are. They really, really are. And that's the dude from Monarch. And he's, like I said, he's the main one who is against Lord Toranaga. He's devious as hell. I don't want to say more than that to give any spoilers, but if you have Hulu, highly, highly recommend this show. 2 episodes in, it's a 10. Easily a 10.
All right.
Yep. So that was it for me.
Well, that's cool.
Anything else in the chat real quick before we go?
Nope. I believe that is it. Chat's been really quiet today.
Yeah, I see that. You scroll through it real quick, though?
We must have bored them to death. But they're still there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for watching us. Someone said something. Usually the case, Mark.
About what, white folks not washing their ass? I don't know what you're talking about.
We're not getting any monetization off this video. All right. So, thank you all for watching us. We'll be back next week, maybe.
Hopefully. Yep.
Hopefully, if life doesn't take its precedence over us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Mark, you got any closing words?
Nope. Listen. Watch those 2 shows that we just talked about. Those some good views. Very good views.
I'm going to work on my Black Comic pre-orders right now and maybe squeeze in an episode of something I can try and find if I can. Yeah. But until next time, everyone, Black Comic Lords, we got you.